This is the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 3D printer. It's fast, fully enclosed, and packed with really cool features. And at just $299, it honestly sounds almost too good to be true. Over the past few weeks, I've put more than 100 hours on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, printing everything from decorative models to functional parts, using a variety of materials. While this printer does a lot of things really well, there are also a few important details you should know before deciding whether it's the right machine for you. My name is Lee, and this is Lee Curiosity. In this video, I'll share my real-world experience with the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, what I like, what I don't, and who I genuinely think this printer is for. I bought this printer with my own money, so this video is not sponsored. Nothing you'll hear here is based on specs alone. Without further ado, let's get started. When it comes to the setup process, the printer arrived in very solid packaging, with everything inside well protected by foam. Right out of the box, my first impression was quite positive. The machine feels solid and well built, especially considering its price. The physical setup is quick and straightforward. You're not spending hours assembling parts before you can even turn it on. All you need to do is remove the foam inside the machine, install the touchscreen, and unlock the bed screws at the three corners. After that, the printer is basically ready to go. The spool holder is mounted on the right side of the machine. It feels solid and well positioned, and once everything is set up, it works just fine. But during my first filament load, I found the guide tube a bit tricky to feed filament into. So what I ended up doing was simply removing the tube, pushing the filament straight into the extruder, and then putting the tube back afterward. It took less time, and honestly, it made the whole process a lot smoother. The initial calibration takes about 15 minutes and runs through several automated steps, like auto bed leveling, heating up the nozzle, and turning on the cooling fans. It's not something you want to rush, but most of that time is just waiting for the process to finish, so it's a good moment to grab a cup of tea and let the printer do its thing. Once calibration is done, the printer feels stable and consistent. After several prints, I didn't find myself constantly making adjustments, which is always a good sign. Moving on to the core hardware and features, this printer offers a lot for its price. It uses a Core XY motion system, which is commonly found on higher-end printers like the Bamboo Lab P1S, and it generally helps with faster and more stable motion. In my experience, it starts printing faster and feels snappier than the Bamboo Lab A1, even when both are set to similar quality settings. What surprised me is that the higher speed doesn't hurt print quality as much as I expected. The hot end is rated up to 300 degrees Celsius, and it comes stock with both a brass and a hardened steel nozzle. That means you can print a wider range of materials without having to upgrade anything right away. The heated bed goes up to 100 degrees Celsius, and features like automatic Z offset and automatic bed leveling make first layers very consistent from print to print. You also get some genuinely useful built-in features, like an auxiliary cooling fan, an internal air filter, and wireless printing over Wi-Fi using Orca Slicer. And finally, there's a built-in camera with time-lapse support. It works well, and honestly, it's a nice bonus at this price point. Now let's talk about the camera and lighting, because honestly, this is one of those areas where I had mixed feelings after using the printer for a while. Starting with the camera, it's fine. Not amazing, but also not something I'd complain about. Most of the time, I just use it for quick live checks, and for that, it does the job. The live view usually runs around 720p, which is more than enough to see if a print is going well without walking over to the machine. The feed feels smooth, I haven't noticed any real lag, and it's been reliable for quick check-ins during a print. It also supports time-lapse right out of the box. I've used it a couple of times, and the footage is totally fine for sharing or quick progress clips. That said, depending on where you view it, some users, myself included, have seen lower resolution time lapses, sometimes closer to 360p, which is probably just a limitation of the processing on the machine. Overall though, for a built-in camera, this is pretty much what I expected. Where things start to get a bit annoying is the internal lighting. Early on, this was actually one of the more common complaints, because the original units only had a small LED near the camera, and honestly, it just wasn't bright enough. But on the newer units, Elegoo upgraded the lighting to a proper LED strip along the top of the chamber. And after that upgrade, I'd say things are pretty much fine. Visibility is noticeably better. It's much easier to check prints mid-job, and for normal use and maintenance, the lighting no longer feels like a problem. So at this point, I don't really see the internal lighting as a downside anymore. One more thing worth mentioning is the fully enclosed design. Because the printer is fully enclosed, heat can build up during longer prints, and every now and then I've seen overheating warnings, especially when printing PLA. When that happens, my simple fix has been to just open the top lid while printing. That improves airflow, keeps temperatures in check, and the print continues without any issues. When it comes to performance, this printer just feels fast in everyday use. On paper, it's rated for speeds up to around 500 millimeters per second, with acceleration reaching roughly 20,000 millimeters per second squared. In real use, though, I'm not actually printing at those numbers. Most of the time, I'm running prints at around 200 millimeters per second, with acceleration set to about 10,000. And at those settings, the printer feels very confident and well-controlled while printing. Even when I push speeds a bit higher, print quality has held up better than I expected. I didn't really see the usual problems like messy edges, obvious ringing, or weak layer adhesion. I did notice a bit of stringing here and there, but that was mostly with default settings, and it's not something I see as a big issue once things are properly tuned. Across materials like PLA, PETG, and ABS, the printer has been reliable enough that I can just start a print and let it run. I don't feel like I need to constantly babysit it or tweak settings between jobs. That kind of consistency makes me comfortable using this printer not only for quick prototypes, but also for functional parts and longer print jobs where reliability really matters. Inside the Centauri Carbon, the electronics are built around a dedicated 32-bit control board designed specifically for this printer. This isn't a generic board. It's optimized for the Core XY motion system, the heated bed, multiple cooling fans, and all the sensors the machine uses. The board and power supply are mounted cleanly in separate sections, with wiring that's well organized and easy to follow. Now let's talk about something I don't really like. In my experience, this printer is quite loud. What's interesting is that even when most of the fans are turned off, the noise doesn't fully go away. After spending some time with it, it really feels like the heat break cooling fan is the main source of that constant background noise. Another thing I've noticed is how long the fans keep running. Even after a print finishes, they often stay on unless you manually turn them off. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely noticeable, especially if the printer is sitting in the same room as you. Before wrapping things up, here are some real prints straight from this printer. I'll leave these on screen for a bit so you can take a closer look and judge the results for yourself.